Hey there, Danny here. Welcome to my ramblings. I've had some car problems the past week or so. Got it figured out. Finally got the leaking radiator to stop leaking. And I just ordered the fuel injector, so I shouldn't have rough idle at I shouldn't have rough idling at stoplights anymore, because I am in a big city and stoplights are everywhere. Anyways, we did a compression test on it yesterday, and so because I didn't want to stick any more money into this if the engine was just going to be shot and I was going to have to find something new. So after the compression test and everything else, we know that it's good. It's a solid engine, so we can throw a little bit of money into it, even though the car's older. Problem is majority of the time they have the simple, easy, everyday parts that would go out, like a thermostat and hoses and things like that, spark plugs, wires, things that would go out on a car that you have to maintain regularly. But nobody carries the fuel injector. Yeah, that's a special order part. So you got to order it and wait. So we're waiting. I did put some cleaner in it today and a new spark plug, and I did go out, and it was good for a little while. But I won't be pushing it until I get the part, which is supposed to be here by Thursday. So I just have to make it until then. Anyways, I wanted to come on here and talk to you about what I like to call planting seeds. And what I mean by that is, when you plant a seed, like a real seed to grow a tree or fruit or vegetables or whatever, you plant a seed, you plant it in the soil. And you want to make sure that it's good soil so it grows healthy and strong. But you're not going to see the fruits of your labor for a while. You're not even going to see that plant come up out of the earth for a little while. It's going to take time. That plant has to germinate and come and grow. So it's the same concept when you're dealing energetically with other people, is planting seeds. And what I mean by that is not necessarily manipulating anybody or telling them what to do. Essentially, so I had a conversation with a woman years ago. We didn't know each other very well. We were having lunch together. She was talking about her live-in boyfriend, and I had met them, both of them, once, her twice and him once, and I liked him. He was a nice guy, but I didn't know them personally. And we were having lunch, and she started, essentially, which I absolutely hate when people do this, but a lot of people do it. She started complaining about her live-in boyfriend. And I said, well, if you have problems with him, then why do you stay there with him? And she went into explaining, like, in detail what her problems were with him. And I remember listening to her and thinking, okay. And she paused for a minute, and I said, so have you ever asked him why what he's holding on to is so important? Have you thought maybe he feels guilty because his wife is a vegetable, but she's been living for so long in a nursing care facility, and he has you? Have you ever thought that maybe there's guilt on his end? Have you talked to him about this? Maybe if you went to him and talked to him about this, he might share with you that he does feel guilty, and then you guys could figure out how to address it together. And she looked at me shocked and said, well, I never thought about that. Well, no, that's the problem. she's too emotionally attached and she can only see her side. Here's where planting the seed is not about manipulating somebody. It's about saying, okay, well, you're seeing it this way. Could it possibly be this way? And they're either going to go, no, it couldn't be that way. But the truth is if it is that way, even in the slightest bit it is that way, they're going, that seed was planted. And at some point in the future, your words are going to come back and they're going to go, oh shit, that's probably true. And then they're going to address it. That's what I mean when I say planting seeds. You're going to plant them for yourself too. You're going to think about things. You're going to get curious about them. So I don't know if it works like this for everybody else. But for me, when I'm thinking, I do a lot of driving alone. I live alone. I live with my dogs, so I do talk to my dogs a lot. I'm one of those crazy dog people, and I'm okay with that. Anyways, I tend to think about things, and sometimes I'm just jamming to the radio and dancing in my car at the stoplights and having a good time, and something will pop in my head. So I was, shortly after my mother passed in 2021, I was seeing a guy named Chris. He was in another state. We had just started talking. We had met through a mutual, well, my mutual friend. It was his cousin. Anyways, so we were messaging back and forth, and I said to him at one point, I said, do you think that when we get mad at somebody else for something, do you think that it could possibly be that it's something in ourselves that we don't like about ourselves? And his response was, wow, that's really deep. He goes, I don't know. So these things like this will pop in my head. I don't always share them with people because I get the same reaction that I got from him. Well, that's pretty deep, I don't know. And then there's no more conversation. So I don't always share this type of stuff with people because they're kind of like, what? They think I'm crazy, which is okay. They can think that. I don't care what they think of me. In order to value somebody's opinion of me, I have to value the person. If I don't know them, how can I value them? To me, that's just common sense. So, this was me planting a seed in my brain. And I would not necessarily think about it or ruminate about it at all, but I would notice. And I've shared stories with you before about how awful my road rage was when I started doing delivery almost 5 years. Then January 2025 will be 5 years that I've been doing delivery. So it's been a while. I signed up in January of 2020, but I don't think I actually started working until like March or April of 2020. But anyways, it was right before the lockdowns happened that I started doing delivery. And it was only supposed to be part-time because I was looking for my dream paralegal job. But once the lockdowns happened, nobody was hiring. So I started doing this full-time, and I fell in love with it and realized I can live off of it. So I really don't have any stress. But when I first started this, and I've shared in other videos with you about my road rage that I would get, and once I posed this question, I planted this seed in my own brain. I didn't think about it often, but I would start noticing things like I'd get irritated at somebody for doing this or whatever, trying to get ahead or be a little aggressive. And then right after it would happen, usually within a short period of time, I'd catch myself doing the same thing. And then I'm like, oh shit, I shouldn't be mad at them. I'm doing the same thing. This is what I mean by planting a seed. Whether it's in your own head or it's in somebody else's, it doesn't matter. But planting these seeds, they don't come immediately. But as you plant the seed, it will eventually expose itself and grow. So then you can see it, and then that's when you start to make changes. And this is a big piece of learning to find your true authentic self and love yourself, is honestly planting seeds and making changes in yourself. And starting to notice how you may have been dealing with some crappy people, but you start to realize that your response, your reaction, didn't help the situation. It just fueled the fire. And once you start to learn to find your true authentic self and love yourself, you have no need to give a reaction on stuff. If you're able to be able to see when somebody's attempting to push your buttons or trigger you, and at that point you don't react. There have been a few times with a few people that I have reacted, but that was mainly just out of disrespect. You're being disrespectful. Don't come at me disrespectful type thing. And then that's it. There's nothing more to talk about, nothing more to discuss. If it's just something stupid they're trying to push my buttons over, I don't care. And the other thing that you will learn when you learn to find your true authentic self and love yourself is you really find your own heart and soul. And when you learn to find your heart and soul, you don't see the world or people the same again. So with me, I can't see beauty in another person until I know their heart and their soul. If the person has a good heart, then I can never see them as anything but beautiful. So they tell you that first impressions are important. First impressions, yeah, for an interview and things like that, but I don't think they're all that important when you're meeting friends or significant others or anything like that, because the truth is, first initially meeting people, there's nervousness, there's awkwardness. I don't think that we should be judging each other based off of that. But once you get to the point of finding your true authentic self and loving yourself, you're in tune with your heart and your soul, and you don't see people the same way. You don't see the vanity, the vainness, the what is the word I'm looking for? The superficialness of it. You don't see that anymore. You can't see anything different. And I have several people that I've known in my life that you could never tell me that they aren't beautiful. I couldn't see them any other way because I know their heart and I know their soul. But once you learn to find your true authentic self and love yourself, people kind of come towards you. They can feel your authenticity. And we don't have a lot of people that are very authentic. We all live in this fake, socialistic, superficial world. Materialistic, all the rest of all those big words. Anyways, so we don't see a lot of authentic people. And when I talk to you about energy and vibration, like energetically leveling up, I'm literally talking about your ability to see the world from a different perspective. Because you can't be mad at somebody else for how they saw things, because they can only see it from their experiences and from their knowledge. And if they're not open to looking at different ways of things and questioning their beliefs and their thoughts, then they're not going to ever find their authentic self. They're just happy in stagnation, and they're never gonna move forward. They're not energetically leveling up. You will lose those type of people out of your life. In the beginning, that's kind of sad because you cared for these people. But as you continue to move ahead and find your true authentic self, you start to realize that these people had to fall away because they just caused you more stress. They caused you more drama. They pushed your buttons. They triggered you. They were not healthy for you. And once you get to the point of accepting it, and I think acceptance comes after you learn to forgive yourself. Because when you start on this journey, you think to yourself, oh my God, everything I've been through. And then you start to think about, oh, my reaction just put fuel to that fire. I poked the bear. Oh. And then you start looking at yourself. Once you forgive yourself, then you're able to get closer to your authentic self. You're able to accept that you're human. We're taught, I don't know around the world, but I know in the United States we are taught that, there's a lot of superficiality in our society here. And you've gotta have this car, you've gotta have a big house, you've gotta have this, you gotta have that. What? None of that's gonna matter. None of it's gonna get you into heaven. None of it's gonna matter to the man upstairs on your judgment day. So we've got it backwards, in my opinion. Which is fine, you can have it backwards all you want. But once you start to find your true authentic self, you start to accept the fact that majority of your problems in your life were your fault. Not saying all of them. And they weren't necessarily what somebody did to you isn't your fault. Your reaction and then sticking around was your fault. And you could have stopped that at any time. Problem was you didn't love yourself. Once you learn to love yourself, there is no way in hell you're letting anybody drag you down to that misery loves company thing. It's just not going to happen. It's too wonderful up here loving yourself and finding your true authentic self because the world just opens up to you. I do delivery every day, and I can't tell you how many people talk to me, how many people I say hi to, good morning, good evening, and we have short little conversations. It's a different world. And it's because once you learn to love yourself and find your true authentic self, you've energetically leveled up. Other people can see that by the way you carry yourself, by the way you interact with other people, by the way your mannerisms are with the people around you. And authenticity is so rare that when they see it, people want to talk to you. They want to say hi. They want to smile at you. And that's okay. Because maybe in your conversation, you might plant a seed you're not even aware you're planting and help them to move closer to their authentic self. Because essentially that's what my videos are about. Us growing into our authentic selves and learning to love ourselves. Because I have a firm belief that if we could do this, we could get more people to do this, it would be a much better world to live in. We have gotten so selfish and greedy and materialistic and we've forgotten the important things in life. So I just kind of wanted to talk to you about the planting the seeds. Another thing, another way that you can plant seeds, when I was with my second ex-husband, his best friend Mike was dating a girl, and my ex-husband, who was my husband at the time, had an affair with his girlfriend. But his friend Mike didn't know this. So I called Mike. Mike deserved to know. He deserved to know the truth. So I called Mike and I said, Mike, I'm going to tell you something that you're not going to like. I'm sorry, it's going to hurt you. It's not from me. I'm just the messenger. I understand if you're going to be mad at me. It's perfectly okay. This is shocking information, but the truth has to be told. And I told him that they had an affair. And he got mad at me, called me a few names, and he hung up on me. I wasn't mad, because he wasn't mad at me. He knew deep down. So I planted the seed. It was maybe 2 weeks later that he called me up and said, I am so sorry for how I treated you. And I said, you don't owe me an apology. I gave you a very hard truth. I expected that response out of you. Because although the truth is the best thing, sometimes the truth hurts. And if you're giving the truth to somebody, you should understand that if they're angry about it and they lash out at you, it's not that they're taking it out on you personally. It's they're angry because they don't want to believe this could be true. And now that you're saying it, they know it's true. Because it's something that's already been inside of them. You just helped water that seed more. So seeds can be several different things. But you should be planting seeds with people. Once you get to your true authentic self and love yourself, you start interacting with people. And when you hear them, because I have a lot of people, strangers that I don't know, and this has been pretty much most of my adult life. It used to be a running joke with my kids and I. But people just come up to me and tell me their troubles, their life stories. I don't know them. It happened all the time in grocery stores and gas stations and whatever else. There's a reason I don't go to bars. Those people scare me. Not anything wrong with people who are drinking or in bars, but I tend to attract people that want to tell me their sad life stories. And you can only take on so many sad life stories before you're like, okay, I can't handle this. And drunk people don't know when to stop. No offense, but y'all don't. Anyways, so I just wanted to talk to you about the planting the seeds. I hope that you got something out of this. If you're struggling or you're trying to figure out how to find your true authentic self and learn to love yourself, contact information's below. Feel free to reach out if you need to. You can message on here. I will try to be back in a day or two. I should be able to because I'm still waiting for my part. Anyways, I just wanted to touch base and let you know why I've been missing and tell you about planting seeds. Because they grow, but they don't grow right away. So, go out and plant your seeds, people. Good night. Love ya.